Hello there, and welcome back to Ychyfus, the Kung Fu podcast, with me, Clive Davis, and my very good friend over there,
Mr. Darren Jones.
Hello, Mr. Darren Jones. How are you today?
I'm quite hungover today.
There we go.
I went drinking last night, and yes, I'm going to be a little bit fuzzy today, but okay. I think that's appropriate to our subject matter.
Yes, yeah, there's something about a bit hungover about the whole thing, really, isn't there?
I agree. Yes.
So we're going off on a bit of a tangent today, aren't we, Darren? And
we're going all the way to Italy.
Yes, kind of.
To have a look at not a kung fu film at all.
Yes, but there is kind of a method to our madness.
It's woven. We're going to weave it into fu eventually. You just got to stick with it.
Yeah. It's kind of a challenge for us, really, to see if we can integrate almost anything into the canon.
I think we're going to manage it.
So
thanks to you, Clive.
Oh, thank you very much.
You're the one that you're the one with the loom on this one.
Yes, I am the loom master.
You are.
But I don't know how to continue this analogy now. Who's the person who supplies the loom master? The cotton picker. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
cotton picking. He's the cotton picking, chicken picking, cotton picker.
Yes.
Geno Cuddy.
Yes, thank you, Geno.
Yes, thank you, Geno, for requesting that we do The Raiders of Atlantis, which, as you mentioned, Darren, is an Italian film shot in the Philippines, and nothing to do with Kung Fu whatsoever.
No.
However, it does have among its cast one Bruce Barron.
Yes. And
Bruce Barron was also a familiar name from the cut and paste ninja films of the 80s. Which we shall also get to. And he also knocked about, well, actually reading up about him, he seems to have actually pretty much been raised in Hong Kong.
He's a really, really interesting bloke.
Yeah, not anymore. He's a very, very dead bloke now.
Well, he's dead, yes, he's dead. And he did not die of an overdose of diet pills, apparently, in 2000 and something.
No, it was late in 2013, right? I think he finally...
That's it. 2004, I think he's meant to have died in Sweden of some diet pill overdose. Yeah. But it's quite amazing, actually, that these rumours, for someone so niche and someone who can't have had many fans,
right?
That this, and didn't appear in a lot of films really. The rumour mill could have got going on him.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's similar to how the rumour mill created all these myths around Godfrey Ho and Thomas Tang and stuff as well, right? which we'll kind of get into as part of this episode as well. So he also knocked about in some of the Hong Kong productions. So the way we've kind of tied this back to our remit is to make it a Bruce Barron triple bill. So we shall be
expertly done.
The Raiders of Atlantis, followed by Dragon Force, and then finally the Sublime Delights of Ninja Champion.
If you say so, Clive. If you say it's a sublime delight.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
That's code, that is, for shit.
That's an atrocious abomination of a film.
Right.
Anyway, carry on. We'll get to that.
Yeah, we will.
We'll save that little treat for last for you.
Yeah. Right. So, kicking off with Ruggero Deodato's 1983 film, The Raiders of Atlantis, aka Atlantis Interceptors, set in Miami, Florida, or along the Keys there, but pretty much shot in the Philippines, right?
And Atlantis.
And Atlantis. Sorry about that.
I believe I understand that they went to a lot of trouble to find Atlantis, so they could film on location there.
Yes, I think they had to use a crystal skull in order to kind of pinpoint it exactly. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Carry on.
So, and Raiders of Atlantis, this would have been something you would have watched back in the day on video, Darren?
Yeah, this is one of these sort of classic low-budget Italian films, sort of semi-post-apocalyptic films that you would always find in a big VHS box down your local video rental store. At least back in Wales, where we come from, in the UK. And it would always have a lurid cover with, someone with a machine gun and some crazy vehicles in the background and some explosions. But this is the kind of bread and butter 80s VHS rental kind of fodder, isn't it?
Yeah. This is very typical, the kind of thing that wouldn't turn up on television, for example, or no one would have seen it in a film theater, pretty much.
No, but this was in the garage that also did the VHS rentals. This, that's where you found this gem.
Yeah. And for those who don't know, Ruggero Deodato, or Roger Franklin, as he's credited here, is of course most well known for Cannibal Holocaust, right? So that's his big claim to fame, and probably his best film as well, isn't it? Really?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, to be fair to him, this is probably his worst film. As fun as it is, usually when you're watching a Deodato film, there's a certain level of quality that you can always kind of rely on. Right. He always does something, interesting.
Yeah, he's also he's kind of top tier of that kind of Italian hack director who could turn their gaze on any genre. He's kind of, he always had pretty good production values, and
he seems to care about the product that he's making. I think is probably the difference between him and, say, I was going to say Antonio Margheriti, but that's probably not fair on
Bruno Mattei or somewhere like that.
Bruno Mattei or Luigi Cosi or someone like that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
As much as we enjoy those people's films as well, they're on a different kind of scale, really, aren't they?
Yeah. But Deodato is kind of usually a slight cut above those other hacks. Really.
Yeah. So I will attempt a bit of a quick plot synopsis and get that out the way, is it?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So this is Miami, Florida in the future, 1994. And so actually, there's an opening kind of sequence to the film, which has fuck all to do with the rest of the film, right? In which our stars, Christopher Connolly, and Tony King, who as Washington, but he's converted
Mohammed,
to Islam, right? Yeah, so
his name is Mohammed.
Yes, which is a joke they make a lot of.
It's kind of a little bit racist, really, isn't it?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it's just Deodato seems to have seized on something that might have been in the air at the time and decided to make a gag out of it. It certainly doesn't play well now. It doesn't play well now.
No.
Yes, I know what you mean. It just seems slightly,
black guy changing his name to Mohammed.
Yeah,
everyone refuses.
Yeah.
Everyone refuses to call him Mohammed.
Right.
That's
right.
Yeah, that's played for laughs.
Yeah.
Kind of. But again, it was 1983, and it was a different time.
Yes. Yeah. So and they've been tasked with kidnapping some wealthy old bloke from his mansion by the sea in a body. They put him in like a body bag and fly him out the window.
I love that bit.
Yeah, I like that. It might be the best bit of the film in a way.
I think it probably is the best bit of the film.
For some shadowy figure called the Colonel, and you think that this is headed in somewhere, right? But it's got fuck all to do with the rest of the film.
Yeah, that's just a job. So I guess that's just to illustrate that they're these kind of, people, not assassins or anything, but just like criminals for hire.
Yeah, or like mercenaries or something like that.
Yeah.
So and that establishes as well that they have to make a run for it, so they get their cash and they get on a boat and they head for Trinidad, is the idea.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, en route to Trinidad, there's some kind of scientific research like rig.
Yeah.
And Marie Fields, Gioia Scola, who's kind of this cute PhD in pre-Columbian dialects.
That's it.
She is a scientist.
Yeah. And so, of course, they need her help raising a submarine that's sunk.
A Russian submarine, yes. But on the Russian submarine, they found a very chintzy-looking skull.
It's like a tablet, isn't it? Like a
yeah. Which doesn't look like it's been underwater for a very, very long time. But
no, it looks like someone made it out of polystyrene 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and it's going to change the world, isn't it? It's going to change the scientific community.
Yeah,
he keeps telling us. Because it's, well, as we find out, when a island, a domed island, comes out of the sea and washes people out of this, destroys the rig, and it's Atlantis. The Atlantis has returned, and the island also sends out some kind of high-pitched frequency, I think, that knocks out everything electronic in a certain radius, I guess.
Yeah.
And then, meanwhile, on the mainland, not on the island, so I don't know if this is an advance war party that's been sent out in advance, or if the electronic signal has created them. I don't, it's a bit confusing. But
because I was completely confused by that, because then you're back in Florida. And there's like this family, isn't there? There's this family kind of, getting ready to go to work or go on a trip or whatever. And then all of a sudden, you've got the Mad Max style raiders.
Yes.
Or interceptors.
Yes.
Interceptors.
Yeah.
Who just murder them with their, bike, their motorbikes with, all these attachments and this big car with the Ben-Hur type spikes on the wheels and very, very, very Mad Max kind of derivative. And because it's in the future, you don't know if, are these like street hoodlums? Is this the problem in 1994?
Yes, could be.
Yeah. It's eventually explained, but you haven't got a fucking clue what these people are doing.
Well, is it though? Is it explained? I don't know, but...
Yeah, we get there.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. You're wondering, is this the same strange, bizarre thing that happens in Mad Max and Mad Max knockoff worlds, where a fuel shortage means that everyone grows a Mohican? And suddenly, it needs petrol for their gas-guzzling, modified vehicles. Yeah, it's all a bit confusing. Led by Bruce Barron.
The man himself.
In a see-through plastic skull thing. Yeah. Which does look quite cool. To be fair, the gang is cool.
Yeah, the gang looked really good. They did a good effort on the gang.
And the fact that Atlantis is coming back to take over because they're the interceptors who want their world back.
Yeah.
That combination, and if you watch the trailer for Raiders of Atlantis, it looks like a lot of fun, doesn't it? It's the kind of thing I wish there was a paperback tie-in novelization to read.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, really?
Would that be worth your time?
If it was, 120, 180 pages, and it had a bit more backstory, and there was a sex scene with Christopher Connolly and Gioia Scola, and maybe some more gore, and I'd sit down with that of an evening. I might throw it away halfway through, but
but this was written on the back of a cigarette packet 5 days before filming, by the look of it.
I put it to you this, Darren. If you were in a charity shop after everything opens up and you were wandering about and you saw a Raiders of Atlantis novelization paperback for 20p, you would...
I'd probably pay a £5 for it, to be fair.
Yeah.
Whether I'd read it, I don't know. But I would never walk past a paperback tie-in of Raiders of Atlantis.
Yeah, that's true. You would have to snap. I don't think they would
have to get it.
No.
There can't have been one.
No, I think the only bit of memorabilia tat you can pick up on Raiders of Atlantis is the theme tune, which I quite like.
That kind of disco kind of,
Yeah, that did come out. There's a 12-inch on, what is it called? Kangaroo something records.
Okay. I mean, it doesn't match the film, though, does it? The theme tune it's not.
I like it.
Yeah, it's all right. It's fine. Yeah.
It's by the Oliver Onions, who were, of course, the DeAngelis brothers, who did a lot of kind of quite cool, funky, disco-y things around this time.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to Florida, or the Philippines, that is. So, so the Atlanteans have come up and they're causing trouble, I guess, on the mainland along the Florida Keys there, I suppose.
I guess it's not, there's not a lot explained in the first, at least 2/3 of the film.
Yeah.
Stuff just kind of happens, and there's a little bit of exposition around Atlantis.
Right. And the geography is slightly confused, right? So they're knocked off course and they manage to get the boat to work, and they've rescued the girl and some of the people, Ivan Razimov and they make their way to...
Don't forget our George Hilton.
Yes, George Hilton, he's there.
In his specs, his spectacles.
Yeah.
Mr. Professor.
Spaghetti Western icon, George Hilton.
Yeah.
Satana once upon a time, I guess.
That's right, yeah.
And so they end up on, I wasn't sure if it was an island or if it was like one of the, well, I suppose they would be along the little Florida Keys, like archipelago, though. I think they're still in Florida, aren't they? I think.
Well, I didn't know whether they were in Florida or Atlantis. Because for a while when I was watching this with all, because there's this, the probably 1/3 of the film takes place on this island, wherever it is.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of shootouts and siege type stuff.
Yeah.
In this section of the film, and I thought, oh, maybe they're in Atlantis. Well, that's a bit shit because they've got like signs in English and
right, and there's people
boxes and cars and
but they do go there later. Right? They do. It does make sense later. But I agree with you. At first, I was a bit confused about it. I think it's only because this is my 3rd time or something watching this film. I could piece it together.
Yeah.
And so like you said, there's a long siege, kind of Night of the Living Dead, a bit of because they throw the Molotov cocktails and stuff, a bit of a zombie flesh eaters vibe to it, a little bit.
Yeah. And it helps that it's because this film has got Italy written all over it.
Yes, yeah.
It's because it's just so fucking Italian. It's the music is Italian. I presume it's shot in Eastman color. Film stock seems Italian. It's got all these Italian actors in it. It's just fucking Italian.
Yeah.
It oozes Italian exploitation cinema.
Yes, it's true. Yeah, it's very much, you could watch it without do a blindfold test and not see the opening credits, and you would not, right? And as well, you have, for instance, our leading lady as well, Gioia Scola, is very much in that kind of, I think the Italian films of this period, they had a certain kind of leading lady who were strikingly beautiful, but with a slight, I don't know what the word is, a slight character to their features that separated them from more kind of
they're not generically
they're not cookie cutter like Farrah Fawcett lookalikes. So they might not have had that career in the United States, but they did in Italy because they had I kind of go for that kind of look as well. There's some, for instance, in Mary Fields, as she's called, she is beautiful, but she's kind of cute, beautiful, something a little bit off, not quite straight down the line.
Yeah.
Something quite endearing about it.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
She also played the villain in Conquest, Fulci's Conquest, didn't she?
She was in Conquest, yes.
With the gold mask.
No. I don't think she's in Conquest, but I think you're thinking of, isn't that Sabrina Siani or someone like that?
Yes, it is. Sorry, my mistake. Yes, you're right. Sorry. So she would be the love interest from Conquest.
Yeah, she was in Conquest.
Oh.
Yeah, she's in. I don't think she was in many leading roles in it, which is a bit of a shame because she's quite, she's easy on the eyes and she's quite, she's quite a fun screen presence.
Yeah. And as much as you can tell, she seems like a decent actress as well. Yeah.
She hasn't got. I mean, unfortunately, she's given, at least in the English dub, my favorite, of course, the howler is the, when Christopher Connolly asks her, "Oh, what are you doing there?" and she says, "Oh, you wouldn't understand," and he says, "Oh, you think all us sailors are just like Popeye? We just like eating spinach or something."
Oh no!
Her reply is, "I like spinach."
And then
there's the whole thing about spinach dinners, and there's
this running gag. Oh yes, when are we going to have that spinach dinner? And that comes in at the end as well. It's throughout the film. There's this lame spinach dinner gag.
Yeah, which is endearingly crap and tacky. And as well, back to the Mohammed thing as well. There's a few, because some of them get lost in the noise of the film, but Christopher Connolly's got a few kind of really crap wisecracks. Like at some point, he says, Tony King's character says something like, "Get in the chopper, inshallah," or something like that, if Allah wills or whatever. And Christopher Connolly says something like, I can't remember what he said, but he said, "Ursula, who's that?" Just barely jokes, right?
Yeah, but they're very endearing.
Yeah. So, right, and now, so because Mary Fields, Gioia Scola, is the predominant expert on made-up bullshit, then...
Yes, a.k.a. Atlantis.
Yeah. She's kidnapped by the Atlanteans, because apparently she knows more about Atlantis than they do. I don't quite understand this.
No, well, the other thing you find out a little bit later on is the reason the Interceptors came out of Atlantis to intercept and raid America is apparently the Atlanteans want to reclaim the Earth, basically.
Yes. And they were here first.
Yeah, because they were there first, and they won't tolerate anyone but Atlanteans on the Earth. Apart from one, and that one is her.
Yes. And they also tie in there's a little bit of lip service to, like, I suppose there's a bit of an echo message as well as that, like, "Oh, look what you've done to the planet while we've been away."
Yeah. I wonder who the real cannibals are.
Exactly. Time to light your pipe, Darren.
That's it. Yes. Anyone, by the way, any kung fu fans who are listening to this who've never seen Italian genre cinema, this is going fucking way over their heads.
Right.
Anyway, but we're having fun anyway.
Yeah.
Keep listening.
Yes,
and then you will eventually get to some kung fu.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, a smidge.
So, yes, so she's kidnapped to Atlantis to, as far as I can tell, dress like a kabuki actor with face makeup and a strange costume and made to stand at some old ancient computer, I guess. So I don't know.
Yeah, and it's basically, and this is, you only kind of get to at the end of the film.
Yeah.
But it's the closest I can come to it is like the Superman in the Superman film, the Richard Donner Superman film,
right?
Where he's in like the ice fortress.
Yes.
And he's talking to his dad, who's dead.
Right.
It's like a hologram. It's kind of similar, or this is my interpretation of it anyway.
Right.
It's a similar thing. She's talking to what seems to be long dead Atlantean.
Right.
people.
No, that's a good call there, Darren. I hadn't made that link myself, but you're quite right. That is exactly what it is, isn't it? I think that is exactly where it comes from. Because that's the fun with this era of these kind of cycles of Italian films that at first copied Hollywood films and then ended up kind of copying each other to kind of to erase to the bottom of the barrel. The fun is trying to spot what they're copying now. Like, oh, where's that from? Or I think you might be bang on there, Darren. So then they have to get to Atlantis. So then there's a whole the film changes again then from the siege film to like this long car chase, stunt-filled kind of sequence.
Yeah.
Which is quite impressive in terms of a lot of uncredited Filipino people doing quite dangerous looking stunts.
Yeah, there's some good fire stuff in this.
Yeah, and people falling off. I've noticed they do a lot of good falling off high things in Filipino films of this period. There doesn't be a shortage of people willing to fall off high places.
No.
So that's all well and good, and a bit of gunfight stuff, and I mean,
I think the siege bit goes on a bit too long.
It does. Yes.
But it is kind of peppered with. There's a nice little decapitation in there.
Yes, straight out of the wheels, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's good. Quite poor makeup effects.
Yeah,
I would say.
Yeah.
Particularly for Deodato, who Cannibal Holocaust has very good makeup.
That's true.
As does Body Count and Cut and Run and the other films, the better of Deodato's films. But anyway.
Yeah, I didn't actually check the credit. I'm guessing they couldn't get Sergio Stivalati or someone to do this.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't look like anyone who knows their way around prosthetics and special effects.
Should mention as well that those particular bits, even though they're not really that gory, there's, I don't know, if you added them up, they're less than a minute, right, really, of these inserts. But they are missing from some prints. And you can find the print we watched, which is from a Swedish VHS, and it's kind of in widescreen as well. And as far as I know, there's no high def version of the cut version. So you might as well go and get this one. You can get it for free at archive.org. You can download it from there. It's in the public domain, I guess. And then if you're going to watch it, you might as well watch it with the decapitation and the head blowing up, and because there's little moments of spice, pepper.
Yeah, exactly. And it does especially with this kind of long siege scene, and it must be half an hour.
Maybe.
I didn't time it. It's probably half an hour. And it just goes on and on and on, and they just go to different buildings and then have the same sort of siege with the interceptors outside, and various people, drop off and get killed. Yeah. But, there's some cool bits. There's someone gets shot in the mouth with an arrow.
Yeah, that's
quite cool. People get their hands lopped off, decapitation.
Yeah. And
some good machine gun deaths in there as well.
So when they get to the car chase bit, it's a bit of a breath of fresh air, and it reminded me a little bit actually how that film. I wonder if it might have been an influence on this film actually. That film Doomsday, the Neil Marshall film.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's like a post-apocalyptic. Hadrian's Wall is rebuilt in the future to keep out, and that's kind of a Mad Maxy kind of homage. And that switches genres like halfway through and turns into a much more accomplished film. But it suddenly turns into this extended car chase, and they were making a lot of these kind of Mad Max rip-offs and also Vietnam War films in the Philippines. That was a place to go.
Yeah, loads of them.
Yeah, Sirio Santiago and all those things, right?
Yeah.
And so they do eventually get into Atlantis, and this is where they discover. Geo Scola dressed like a kabuki dress, and statues that shoot laser beams.
Yeah, that was a good one. I like that.
And for some, immediately made me think of, oddly enough, this isn't that far away from Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Right? We're in that kind of territory. Right?
Yeah, it's
Eric von Daniken kind of ancient.
Yeah, hokey ancient alien but you know, it's ancient technology, but they've got laser beams.
Right.
You know.
Right. And then there's some bollocks with missiles that they have to disable, which I didn't quite totally understand. That might have helped.
Yeah, and that went nowhere.
Yeah, pretty much.
So they all split up, don't they? Initially, they're going to find the Doctor. They're going to find Jola Siola.
Yeah.
But then they find the submarine.
Yeah.
That, you know, they were initially looking for, and it's got nuclear warheads on it. So they think, right, so if we blow up the nuclear warheads, then we can sink Atlantis again.
Yeah. Don't get.
But that goes nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they don't do it.
Anyway, eventually Atlantis does go back underneath the waves, so they have to escape just into, or at least Tony King, Christopher Connolly, and Geo Scola manage to escape just in time, and we get to hear Black Inferno again, and another hilarious spinach joke.
Yes.
And we're over and out. So before I ask you, just because I'm talking, so I'll just go straight into it before I forget. My main takeaway for me for Rise of Atlantis is I have a lot of goodwill towards this film, but I wish it was as fun as I want it to. Like, it's not quite there for me. Like, it's got all the hallmarks. I'd pick up the paperback if it existed. I love the trailer. I love the fact that it exists. I love everything about it. But actually sitting down to watch the film is a bit more of a slog than I would wish. I wish it was a little bit more full-on entertaining all the way through.
Yeah,
that's my takeaway.
Completely agree with it. I really like the film. I saw this film probably when I was a teenager in its cut version back in Wales. I didn't really enjoy it then. I enjoyed it more than when I was a teenager watching it for a podcast. But you're right. Yeah, I like all of the film, so I you know, I have the goodwill towards it. I like, you know, I have chuckles at you know, the audacity of Italy to go and insert all these sci-fi tropes and Vietnam tropes and Assault on Precinct 13, Superman, and you know, Atlantis into all this big, you know, this hour and a half's rip-off entertainment.
Yeah.
But you're right, it is, particularly that middle section, and particularly for me, that siege section, that is quite difficult going to get through.
Yeah.
You know, I would much have preferred it to be, you know, either straight out Mad Max rip-off, you know, where you probably get a bit more gore and, you know, a bit more action and car chases, or a straight up, you know, sci-fi fantasy Atlantis themed thing, you know, fighting monsters in the jungle, getting to the temple, doing all the traps in the temple, sci-fi stuff. But it's just, the mixture doesn't need to gel, but it doesn't gel well enough to keep the interest in the middle of the film.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I like the mix. I like the idea of the mix. It's just they don't pull it off, do they?
No.
It hasn't quite got enough. It needs a bit more. It needs a gore scene, a few more gore scenes peppered in there, just so the stretches between the fun stuff. They probably need some nudity. There's none of that in there.
Yeah, true.
Throw in tits, throw in some more gore, and maybe a few more action set pieces. Yeah, and you'd be onto a winner, I think.
Yeah, or a bit more, you know, or a bit more fantasy or sci-fi elements.
Right.
You know, because they're always interesting.
Yeah. It's not full on ridiculous fun like something like Star Crash or something like that. Right?
Yeah, but I think we're being a little bit harsh on it as well, because it is loads of fun.
Yes, it is.
And so many of these knockoffs, so many of these, particularly Italian knockoffs.
Yeah.
You know, the elements that they throw in, you know, you don't see that shit anywhere else.
No, that's
so
true.
It's worth sitting down just to see the mixture.
Yeah, it's like you said, the thing about it being more fun now than when it was new, I think there's a couple of reasons for that. One is when we were little punks, we were so desperate to find thrills that if something didn't, you know, wasn't full on, we scorned it a little bit. Whereas now we're not, you know, as desperate for, you know, we've had our fun and all that, so we can accept it for what it is, right?
Yes.
So it's fun. And yeah, you're quite right. You watch something like this now, which is all, practical effects, all shot in the Philippines, so everything is cheap, so they can blow up as many jungles as they like and throw cars around and don't care about the health of stuntmen. And it's a kind of filmmaking that you don't get this mixture of, it's low budget, but it's all on screen, right? And something now, something's either very, very, very high budget, or it's all done, green screen, CGI, and so that mixture of something kind of low budget and towards the low end of stuff, but with real shit happening is. I don't think we knew we were born growing up in the 80s, because it's finite now, right? And you can look back at the period, and I understand why people younger than us have slightly more fondness towards it than we do, because for them it's fucking hell, you really went for it back in the day, right? Like a way that you can't do anymore.
No, exactly. And if this film was being made today by a modern filmmaker, then if you didn't have the budget to raise Atlantis, you wouldn't be showing Atlantis.
Right.
You wouldn't be putting in all the laser beam statues, because they might look a bit shit.
Right.
Back then they didn't care. They just wanted Mad Max and Atlantis.
Yeah.
And decapitations and
And you went to it, I think, because it was practical effects, because it was actually there and solid. You kind of learned to suspend your disbelief, and all right, I accept that. And it's charming as well. It's kind of the shit effect, and there's some really bad models in this. The Atlantis stuff is very kind of toys in a bathtub kind of stuff. It really is. But I love it because it's endearing. Because they go in for it. They haven't got any money, but they go in with their high ideals. Right. We're going to show Atlantis. Right. There are going to be sci-fi tropes in here and fantasy tropes. It's going to be an extravaganza. We can't afford it. Fuck it, do it anyway. Yeah. I love that. I think that's great. In contrast, though, just to kind of, so we don't quite get, quite washed away on nostalgia. So it is interesting to note that the film Deodato made straight after this was Cut and Run, which is also a kind of a tropical adventure, but you don't have to bring that level of disbelief to that one so much. I mean, that's a much more well-accomplished, well-rounded production all round, right? Yeah. So just to kind of contrast. So there we go. Yes, Raiders of Atlantis. I suppose really, Raiders of Atlantis is that type of film that if you saw Raiders of Atlantis, you see the poster. Yeah. You're right. You've already decided whether this is for you or not, really, isn't it? Yeah, exactly. You're not going to get past the VHS box. You're either picking the VHS box up. Yeah. And you know what you're getting, or you're walking past the VHS box and it's not for you. Yeah. So that's where you're at. That's where you're at with it. And it is what it says it's going to do, and it actually does a little bit more. Yeah. I would say it delivers enough that you wouldn't feel ripped off. Certainly. No. It's doing its best, and it's it doesn't work all the time, but it's it's an endearing little nugget of Italian exploitation from the 80s. Right. And with that in mind, let us hear a little bit of Black Inferno. So, Darren, why don't you tell us what 1982's Hong Kong film Dragon Force, aka Power Force, is all about?
Well, again, we're on the thread that links this is our Bruce Barron.
Bruce Barron.
Who is pretty much the star of the film.
Yes, unfortunately.
Yeah. And at last, we have found some kung fu to talk about in the podcast. Yes. So yes, Dragon Force. Brief credits. Directed by Michael Mack, who also directed Sex and Zen.
Yes.
From the 90s.
His game a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this, I think, is his second film or third film.
Right. And also he directed sequels to his brother Johnny Mack is from his production company. And his brother directed the classic Long Arm of the Law. Yeah. Which is
he did some of the sequels, didn't he? Yeah.
So Mike did some of the sequels to that.
It's got the choreographer, it's got proper kung fu in it. It's also stars Mandy Moore, Bruce Lee, L.I., Ho Chung Tao.
Hang on, because this is something I've noticed, because we grew up.
Bruce Lee is what we used to call him.
Well, no, we called him Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
Called him Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
But everyone else calls him Bruce Lee.
Yeah, but there is another Bruce Lee. L-A-I.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Bruce Lee is probably more appropriate. You're right.
But where did we pick that? Did we just decide that ourselves, or did someone tell us that's what it was called? Because it always confuses me now when people refer to Bruce Lee. I think they're talking about L.A., even though not that many people talk about him, to be honest.
No. And you know what? I have discovered, because there's this, there's the, what's it called? The Clones Cast.
Yes.
That I can't remember the name of the person that does it, but he's the same one that wrote the book.
Right.
I also can't remember the title of. Right. He's got a lot of hate towards Ho Chung Tao, Bruce Lee.
Oh, really? He's not fond of him?
Yeah, he can't stand him. And I've read that book cover to cover as well.
All right. Who's his Lee-alike of choice then?
Bruce Lee, he likes.
Okay. Well, I like Bruce Lee, but I
get that.
I like Bruce Lee. Like Dragon.
Dragon is great. If I was going to choose a favourite, if I was going to choose a favourite of the Lee-alikes, it would be Ho Chung Tao, Bruce Lee. He's my favourite.
He's probably my favourite if you consider just him and his proximity to Bruce Lee and all that stuff. In terms of film output, though, I'd have to think about it, because I think Bruce Lee probably overall had slightly higher quality product, which isn't saying much. But
no.
Did Bruce Lee ever plumb the depths of some of the Bruce Lee films? Because some Bruce Lee films are short.
They are utter trash. Yeah.
We'll definitely be talking some of them in the future.
100%. Oh yeah, we've got to do a little mini series on the Lee-alikes.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Even though there's a whole podcast out there about it.
Yeah, but it's not our podcast.
It's not our podcast, no. But yeah, he's my favourite, and I think the films his best films can rank amongst proper kung fu films, not just knockoffs.
Yes, and I think in general as well. I think the feeling is the perceived wisdom that he is of that bunch. He's the one. He's the one who came closest, I suppose, to emulating or working at almost the same level as those. Even though, that said, neither you or me are particularly big Bruce Lee fans either, really, are we?
No, not at all. Bruce Lee, for me, Bruce Lee is just a necessary stage in history. Right. And we're going to get to that. We're gonna go back to the Bruce Lees at some point as well.
I think so. At a certain point, when we feel comfortable, we'll go back and we'll generate. It's like, no one listens to us, Otherwise, I get a lot of hate mail, I think.
When we do the Bruce Lees, we're going to get some. There's going to be some controversy. But that'll be fun. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we've got Bruce Lee, James Barrett, Francis Fong, Olivia Cheng, Randy Channel. Oh yes, that's the villain, and Richard Lau. Interestingly, choreographed by Chen Shu Lung, who choreographed some really fucking good kung fu films.
Yeah, Jackie Chan.
So yes, that's it. Yeah, so he did Of Crooks of Kung Fu, Two on the Road, Dynamite Trio, solid films.
Yeah.
With decent choreography. So the choreography is not top tier, but it's more than decent.
To be fair, it's kind of difficult to tell because there's not much of the film where it's given much free rein, right? It's more of a modern day post Enter the Dragon kind of action film rather than it is a kung fu film, isn't it?
So this is, we're not really, there's decent kung fu in it, there's kung fu stars in it. But it is more of a kind of Dirty Dozen, Enter the Dragon kind of ensemble actioner, isn't it?
I was thinking actually, especially getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, when they get to the finale, which is at a very Han from Enter the Dragon Island hideout.
Yes.
I was thinking actually, even more so than Enter the Dragon, it might be, if you remember the film that came out just a year before this, Force 5.
Yes.
Which was another Robert Klaus film. And ripping himself off, I suppose. I was wondering if it was rather than a direct line Enter the Dragon to maybe it was Enter the Dragon Force 5 Dragon Force, maybe.
That's a really good point, that actually, I think. Yeah. So anyway, so we get opening montage. Our Bruce Barron, who's, to be fair to him, he's not much of a leading man, is he?
No, but again, I wonder, he's not exactly given that much of a chance. I mean, we'll get to it, but some of the things he's asked to do No, I have a lot of sympathy for Bruce Barron. Right.
I've got loads of sympathy for him. But on screen, he's not super dynamic, let's say.
He's not burning with charisma, is he?
Not really. No. But he's fun to watch. I like the fact that we did a Bruce Barron triple bill and gave him a bit of attention.
Yes, I like it as well, perversely.
Yeah. I just feel like he needs the attention. We're doing the ghost of Bruce Barron a favour,
right?
By highlighting a little bit of his career. Anyway, so we've got Bruce Barron plays like I don't know what he is, a CIA or an Interpol agent, and he's called in to rescue a princess of what is she? The Princess of Moldova or something.
No, hang on. It's I wrote it down. Although I seem to keep changing, but I think Monrovia.
Monrovia. Monrovia. There's a joke in there. Just make it up yourselves.
At least that's what they called it at one point. Anyway,
whatever. A fictional princess from a fictional. Oh, sorry, Clive. I ruined your plans to holiday in Monrovia.
That's where I was planning to go as soon as lockdown ended.
Oh, sorry, Clive. Sorry, I burst your bubble. So anyway,
I wanted to go and see all their. Hang on, what is it? Chromium oxide mines where they make stainless steel. Yeah.
Oh, I know. Sorry, Clive, to disappoint you. So anyway, yes. So Monrovia is a world-leading producer of chromium.
Yes.
That is used in the production of stainless steel.
Yes. Which is in turn made they use in nuclear power stations, not just saucepans.
No. And yes, and the Russians want it.
Yes.
The Russians want to control Mongrovia's cobalt, or not cobalt, whatever it is, chromium production.
This made up stuff.
Yeah.
And obtainium, right?
Yeah, exactly. So the Russians via the general, who's a big, large, overweight villain.
Well, actually, Darren, there's one step between the Russians and them and this guy, the general, and he's worth mentioning because his name is Mr. Sly.
Yeah. Sly. Also, I couldn't get it out of my head.
Yeah.
As soon as I heard it, and it's the dubbing. It's because this is a dubbed film. But the general.
Yeah.
Sounds like Seth MacFarlane doing a supervillain from Family Guy.
Oh, right, does he? Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Yeah,
I didn't
for me,
that.
yeah, I couldn't get Seth MacFarlane taking the piss out of. Yeah, I couldn't get over it. Anyway, so they arranged to kidnap the princess.
Yes.
Using what else but ninjas?
Of course, bright ones.
Oh yeah, always.
Yeah.
All the colours are ninja.
Worth mentioning as well, we find out she's a virgin as well.
Yes.
We find out she's a virgin while so her plane has been rerouted to Hong Kong. I think by someone called the Black Cobra, who we never see, but it's alluded to that he's made the plane land in Hong Kong.
Yeah. And
then she hangs out with her friend and her friend's brother, whose name is Richard.
Yeah.
Who has the killer line, "You can call me Rich. I am, you know."
Richard's lines in this are amazing.
Yes.
A little bit later on, he's discussing Ho Chung Tao, he's discussing Bruce Lee's abilities with Kung Fu. And Olivia says, he's really good at Kung Fu. He's a real Sivu.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really good. I can see he sees through the problem.
Richard is a twat.
He's a fucking knob.
Yeah.
But I love that line. And this is the thing. This is one of the things that I really like about this film. Is there's a lot of comedy in it. But it's not Hong Kong wah comedy.
No.
It's kind of really, really lame kind of Western 007 jokes. And
which brings us to, so as you mentioned, and Bruce Barron has to jet off to Hong Kong.
Yeah. But he doesn't want to leave. Bruce Barron doesn't want to leave because he's hanging out at the pool with his three ladies.
Yes. And one of them has a line as well, which is just torturously terrible. Because his name is Jack Sargent, right?
Yeah.
So they're getting all sexy by the pool. And then someone phones and she says, "Oh no sergeants here, only privates." What? That's fucking terrible by anyone's standards.
I love it. I fucking love it. Yeah, but if anyone hasn't noticed it, I fucking love this film.
To be fair, I ended up enjoying it against my better judgment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This film is a guilty pleasure, but I fucking love it.
But in terms of comedy, I just want as soon as he arrives in Hong Kong, he has a contact he has to.
Mr. Chu, is it?
Chu.
That's it.
And no word of a lie, he meets him via a joke, which I think I must have done in the playground when I was about 8 years old.
Yeah.
Where he's wandering about Hong Kong, just wandering about aimlessly, looking for his contact, and so gets some dust in his face, and he goes, "Chew!" At which point, this Chinese fellow pops out and goes, "Oh, are you looking for me?" It's really, film? Did you just do that?
Well, not only that, because there's layers in here. They've layered the comedy, and this is on the background, on the backdrop. In the backdrop, there's a restaurant.
Yeah.
Called Good Foo Kin Kitchen. Good fucking kitchen. Wonderful.
Obviously, some comedy genius. Mel Brooks wrote this, and
yeah. Oh God, yeah, and then he goes and sees M, doesn't he?
Q.
The Q, sorry, Q.
Yes.
Yeah.
R2 is the Q of this film, not Q on Q, but that would be a very different film.
No. Yeah.
James Bond.
Who references James Bond?
Yes.
Oh yeah, we have to save all the gadgets for the English bloke.
Yes.
Too many zeros. Zero dude.
Double or nothing fellow.
Yeah.
Like that he calls him.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I was disappointed. The bulletproof T-shirt. I thought they were going to go somewhere with the bulletproof T-shirt on Bruce Barron.
Yeah, no, it's a shame they didn't. Yes, no,
that's fine then.
It is a shame they didn't get to use the bulletproof T-shirt.
Yes.
Which
is machine washable apparently. So that's the only reason it was in there, was to make the joke that it was machine washable.
Yeah.
Yes, but anyway. So our Bruce eventually finds his contact, and he has to contact Dragon Force.
Yes, he's got to do a lot of contacting, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he's all over the place, our Bruce. So anyway, so he has to go and find Dragon Force, which he eventually does in Tiptoe Forest. Yeah, we're none the wiser either.
Right.
Where he has to go through a series of trials to prove himself worthy of entry into Dragon Force. So instead of making contact with them, he's actually got to join them.
Yeah.
Via eventually an initiation ceremony.
Yeah.
Where he cuts himself, they kill a chicken.
Yeah.
I
couldn't help in today's world as well. I couldn't help thinking, after they cut the chicken's head and put his blood, and then he cuts his finger and puts his finger on the bowl, I was thinking, that's how things like COVID spread. That is.
Well, yes, exactly. Yeah, wet market. Wet market stuff.
Yeah. So yeah. So he has to fight. Yeah. So there's like a tree. Where there's Bruce Lee, and there's a trio of other people who you've never heard of before.
Yes.
A woman, a Japanese fellow, and a monk.
Yeah.
And now Bruce. So they are now they are the Dragon Force of the title.
Yes. Yeah.
And so they have to go and they have to rescue the princess anymore. And I guess the bad guys are trying to get information about the location of the stainless steel mines, or
we find out eventually, don't we, that the plan is actually for the general to mind control the princess.
Well, yes. Now this is
the plan.
Where it gets quite interesting, right? So after a bit of gubbins about Bruce Barron being shot, and then Q-Wood.
No, he's bitten by a snake, isn't he? Yeah.
No, he's shot. He's fucking shot. And then, the only way to cure apparently being shot is with a cobra's bite. And they don't even take the fucking bullet out. There's like a cobra biting the bullet, which is still in.
And some good snake stuff going on.
Yeah. It doesn't.
That's a real cobra, probably defanged, that's actually being waved around.
Yeah, and they smeared it with the blood. Yeah. But I'm pretty sure the first part of curing a bullet wound is to at least remove the bullet. It's just sticking out of him, and there's a cobra kind of gnawing on it. Yeah. So there's that, and we found out, and we another bit of interesting trivia. We get to find out that salty water man means that you're an old perv. That's another thing.
Yes, we're learning all the time with this film.
Yes. You're not laughing, you're learning.
Yeah, exactly. Earning and learning.
Yes.
So it transpires after, and there's a few little fights in here, and they're all quite well choreographed. And there's the ninjas keep popping up and having fights and killing people.
Right.
There's a decent amount of ninja action. It's pretty good action as well.
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, we'll get to later on, especially there's a scene towards the end. But whenever anything starts to flag, send in the ninjas, right?
Yeah.
But then it gets to so like you said, the mind. And this must have been a major selling point of the film, I would have thought, because it's on the fucking poster, right?
Yeah.
So what they decide to do to the princess Mandy Moore is they shave her head Get her totally naked, full frontal, which is kind of surprising.
Quite a graphic full frontal.
Yeah,
actually.
Some kind of MIV close-ups.
Yeah,
and they cover her in calligraphy.
Yeah.
Actually, put acupuncture needles into her as well. That looks like proper acupuncture needles.
Yeah, that looks like a real needle going in.
And I think this is some form of hypnotism, apparently, like mind control, truth serum stuff.
Yeah, which for some reason is called the parrot technique.
Well,
no, actually, I've just worked it out. The second I just worked it out. It's called the parrot technique because parrots repeat what they're told.
Well, now it makes plenty of sense.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So that's a nice little moment in there. Of bizarre, it's a nice little bizarre moment.
Yeah, it's a great bit of like gratuitous and entirely unnecessary exploitation, which is
she did not need to be naked for that.
No, and fair play to her.
Oh yeah,
whoever the fuck she is. I mean,
she's more than game.
Yeah. Yes, and then the film kind of that's pretty much the trajectory it goes on then, we got to get to her quick before the mind control works. And I'm not sure if the mind control she does seem to become under their spell a little bit. But
because she ends up fighting. Is it Bruce Barron or Do Chung Tao? Yeah.
But I don't think she ever gives up the info or she has to be, I guess, unbrainwashed or reconditioned or something. Yeah. But basically the bad guys keep just getting one step ahead of the Dragon Force or the Power Force. And they turn up and they fight and turn up and they fight. And they end up at Han's island lair from Enter the Dragon.
Yeah. And I particularly like I wish they'd done more with this actually. I'm surprised they didn't.
Right.
So so when they get to the final battle on Han's island, or the General's island, there's a reference in there. Everyone on the island, all the waitresses and maids and servants, they're all karate experts.
Right.
And they all wear karate uniforms, except the women who wear karate uniforms, but it's like a miniskirt version.
Yeah, they don't put the bottoms on, right?
No.
Which is, I mean, fair play. That's what I'd do if I had my own private island.
Well, yeah, but I just wish they'd done more of that. I was just thinking, I hope this turns into something like the naked fight in Ninja Final Duel.
Yeah, or at least the trampoline army from Black Belt Jones or something like that.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we mentioned Force 5. Force 5 is as well a remake of a film I've not seen, a Jim Kelly film called Hot Potato. Have you ever seen Hot Potato?
No, I haven't seen Hot Potato.
No. I want to see Hot Potato.
I want to see Hot Potato.
It's called Hot Potato for the start.
Exactly, yeah. And it's got Jim Kelly in.
Yeah. It's got
There's nothing. Yeah. Well, any Jim Kelly film's worth watching anyway.
See if we can shoehorn that into because I think it is a Hong Kong film and it is kind of kung fu, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So there you go. Might be coming.
Is it a Hong Kong film? I thought it was an American film.
I think it might. Oh, it's a co-production or something. And I know you like a co-production, so.
Of course, I like a co-production. So we'll have a look at that down the line, I think.
Also, just further the Enter the Dragon connection, of course, as well. They have a Bolo surrogate.
Yes.
They managed to find Sam Sorono. In which they managed to find someone uglier than Bolo Young.
Yeah.
Like a repulsive figure of a man.
He's horrible, isn't he? And it's made worse by the fact he's oiled.
Huh?
He's oiled.
I was going to say oiled, and he's got a fucking Liverpudlian perm on his head as well.
And we don't see him and we don't see him outside of his wife fronts. He just wears these shit fucking underpants.
Yeah, he's horrible, he is.
Yeah.
But I wish there was more of him in the film.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He's great because as soon as he turns up, he's just giving it Gibson in his pants, and
he's just this mute, burning, oiled, permed Bolo lookalike.
Yeah. He should be in more. I think he's only in a handful of things, unfortunately. But when they've dispatched with him, finally, Bruce Lee and Bruce Barron. And there's I read that Bruce Lee wasn't in this film much, but to be fair, there's quite a lot of Bruce Lee in it, really.
There's loads of Bruce Lee. And he actually, so Bruce Barron, so sort of the first section of the film, first probably half of the film, Bruce Barron is kind of leading it. He's kind of he's the main hero, and it kind of switches.
Yeah.
As soon as pretty much the halfway point. So as soon as they get on the island and a bit before, it's all about Bruce Lee, Ho Chung Tao kicking ass on the island, kicking ninjas.
Yeah, it's like they switched from John Saxon to Bruce Lee, isn't it? Kind of thing.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yes, and then they find themselves in a forest, battling with some ninjas in this bamboo forest. And this scene, I think, towards the end, this is probably as close as it gets to like a rather good extended bit of martial arts, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's not.
It's well done.
Huh?
It's well done.
Yeah, it's not exemplary, but it's fun and it's really energetic. It's got a bit of wire work, but then when fucking ninjas started exploding, I was starting to think I'd accidentally started watching a Robert Ty film or something.
I know. And so many ninjas explode in that scene.
Like boom, boom, boom. I tell you what it reminded me of. Do you remember when we sat down to watch Massacre at Central High?
Yeah.
And there's like a point in that film where suddenly things start blowing up like one after another, and you're like, what the fuck? It was a bit like that.
Yeah, there's probably 10 to 15 ninjas explode.
Yeah.
And then Bruce Barron is doing the exploding because they're throwing something at him. I can't remember what it is though. And he's throwing it back and then exploding them.
Yeah. It's
that was pretty cool,
but it's fun. It's good enough.
Yeah.
Mad. And Fatty tries to get away on his speedboat.
Yeah.
And
before that, the general, who's very, very fat, gets stuck in a corridor.
Yes. And I couldn't tell if this was played for laughs or not, because it's funny.
Yeah.
But I couldn't tell, is this supposed to be funny or not? I wasn't quite sure.
No, I took it as a little comedy moment.
Do you think?
Yeah.
And he can't get in the helicopter either, right? Until someone hits him in the ass with a spike baton or something.
That's it, yeah.
Oh, and then he goes up, yeah. But it all turns out fine. And I believe Richard might have one more wisecrack maybe at the end there, just when...
Probably.
Yes.
I'm sure he does. I didn't write it down. It wasn't a good enough zinger.
No.
For me to write down.
Yeah, it was one of his classics, was it?
No, he didn't do a Sivu level.
No. Yeah, that's even have to mispronounce it for the joke to work. Yes.
Yeah, but we all knew it was there. we all saw where he was going.
Yeah.
It's like watching a car crash in slow motion.
Yeah. And that's a good way of summarizing this film. But I would say it has a cumulative effect, this film as well. Like it definitely gets better as it goes on. Yeah. And once you acclimatise to it.
You've got to get in the groove.
Yeah.
You've got to get it, yeah. And as soon as you're in there.
I think it's front-loaded with the crap stuff as well. There's a lot more action and good stuff in the back end, isn't there, I think?
Yeah, for sure. Although, I've got to say, the pacing is pretty good. It's not, it's not hanging around with exposition.
I would agree with you, apart from maybe the very beginning. Like, it takes a little while to get...
there's a lot of... There's some ninja... There's some fairly crap ninja stuff at the start where they kidnap the princess. And then,
what's amazing is they set up all that. I don't mind setting up exposition, but they set up all this exposition and then it doesn't really matter. They didn't really bother with it because you try following it. I did. I was writing it right. The black coat, right? This, okay. And then after a while, I just threw my pen.
Fuck it.
Yeah. But no,
I think
this was a lot of fun. I have to admit, this was
loads of fun.
Enjoyable.
Yeah, and I do like the fact that this film knew exactly what it was.
Right.
We're making a knockoff. We're going to have some lame jokes in it. It's going to be a bit James Bond. We like the ninjas, and it knew exactly what it was doing. There's no pretense about it.
Yeah, they had one hot ticket idea of their own, which was you know that Mandy Moore, we'll get her naked and bald and cover it up with noodles. That was like the one thing they based everything out. That's our, and we'll stick it on the poster.
And I love that. I love that.
That's exploitation 101, isn't it?
Yeah. So loads of fun.
Yes.
Great film. And you just need to switch your brain off, get in the groove.
I agree. It was, and I'd never seen this before. And you hadn't seen it before. No, it was
I hadn't seen it before.
Lucky accident choosing this one.
It has to be Bruce Barron's best film.
Probably, yeah. I would be surprised if he'd done anything as good as this. Towards the end of, according to the Hong Kong Movie Database, anyway, penultimate film for Bruce Lee as well. Like he was in one other thing, a Taiwanese film called Pink Trap.
Okay, I hadn't paid attention to that. Yeah,
I think that's it then for him. I don't think he was in anything else.
No,
but
it does a great job.
Yeah, it's interesting as well. You did mention that he's a worth of those Lear likes. It's interesting actually in the context of this film where they don't make him do any of the Bruce Lee stuff.
No,
they don't make him any. And he works, right? He works as a straight up action hero. He doesn't need the trappings of the Lear-like stuff too. No, exactly. And I think that's why I like him, because he can actually stand, it's the best, becoming the first Lear-like is probably the best and worst thing he did for his own career. Yeah, and it's funny as well, because as much fun as I like when I'm a sucker for, someone and licking the wounds and licking their nose and putting on a yellow jumpsuit. But it is refreshing when they don't do any of that at all. It's and
Ho Chung Tao can definitely cut the mustard in all ways, because he's a decent actor as well, I think.
He's certainly got enough on-screen charisma, which has got nothing to do with the fact that he looks a little bit like Bruce Lee. Yeah, absolutely. I was watching, what was I watching recently? I was watching the Hong Kong film He Lives by Night, which is a kind of like a bit of a giallo-y kind of thing from the early 80s. Yeah. And, hang on, let me just make sure I get the name right. But I think it's Sylvia Cheng, I think, in that film. And she struck me as kind of being the most like Bruce Lee I've ever seen a woman look. Okay. Sylvia Chang, there we go. And she's an attractive woman, but it's just every now and again in a certain light, she really looked like, if you could imagine a woman imitating Bruce Lee. She's as close. She looks more like Bruce Lee than Bruce Lee does. Interesting. Yeah. No, not on my radar, that one. Anyway. So, conclusion. Yes. Dragon Force, loads of fun. Yes. Check it out. Yes, I think so. There's and plenty in there to keep anyone interested, I think. And once again, it's on YouTube. It seems to be in the public domain, and you can see an English dub. I do have another version of it, which was subtitled English, but it seems to be shorter than the English dub version. So you must have cut some stuff out. I didn't realize I had both versions until late in the day. So I didn't do a side-by-side comparison, but the other version I have wasn't better quality. It wasn't widescreen or anything. So because there's quite a bit to cut out of this, if from a censorship point of view, because you've got the full frontal nudity. Right. I'm wondering if that's what might have gone missing. Yeah, but also that sort of last ninja battle in the forest. That's pretty gory. There's limbs flying off, disembowelments. There's not that much actual gore, but yes. Limbs and a head. And there's one strange bit which I don't know if it was an attempt. I don't know if you caught this. I don't know if it was an attempt in effect where I can't remember if it was Bruce Barron or Bruce Lee. Kind of, they make a swipe at one of the ninjas, and something comes flying out of him, and it looks like a little octopus or a squid or something. I did notice that. Yeah, and I think that's like meant to be guts or something, probably. But is it just a little squid? Because it looks just like a squid. I don't know. I should have paused it. I'm going to have to go back and pause it now. I just like the idea of random squid flying across the screen for no good reason.
Yeah. So anyway, we like Dragon Force.
We do like Dragon Force. It gets the full Ychyfus thumbs up.
Yep.
Yes.
And we've also ticked the box of watching more or less a proper kung fu film.
Yeah. Yeah. With some acupuncture calligraphy tits thrown in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And muff.
Yeah, and muff. Yeah. Don't forget the muff.
Acupuncture muff. Yes.
So we'll stop for a little musical break. I don't know what it'll be, but something will go here. The final part of our Bruce Barron extravaganza is
the stinking turd that is
1986's Ninja Champion. And well, we should put this in context a bit because I'm aware that some people listening might not know what we mean by an IFD cut and paste ninja film. So shall I do a quick little rundown? All right, so here we go. So this is from a company called IFD Films and Arts out of Hong Kong, who came out of another company called Aso Asia, which was run by Joseph Lyon and Thomas Tang. And Aso Asia was basically famous for acquiring a bunch of kung fu films, mostly out of South Korea, it turns out, and then releasing them with new English titles with an English dub, and also with oddly kind of Sino-anglicized credits that made it look as if it was originally a Chinese language film and it was out of Hong Kong. I guess they thought that was more marketable than trying to market something Korean, right?
Yeah.
And also at ASO Asia, Godfrey Ho worked, who this film is credited to, but we'll get to the Godfrey Ho thing. So Godfrey Ho is a real man. Godfrey Ho is a real director. He once worked at Shaw Brothers, actually. Yeah. And later on made some kind of, there's always something of interest in a Godfrey Ho joint.
Yeah.
But
they're peppered. Godfrey Ho's films are peppered with the shameless, what's the word I'm looking for? Shameless little nuggets to spike your interest, like a little bit of fantasy or some ninjas,
right,
or some blood and guts or tits or whatever.
But the thing I think that confuses a lot of people is actually what constitutes a horror film, right? So I think if I understand it correctly, the way it works was when ASO Asia was releasing films, I think a lot of those films got credited to this Godfrey Ho, and most of the time they weren't Godfrey Ho, they were the work of Korean filmmakers or sometimes Hong Kong filmmakers going over to make a film in Korea. But sometimes I think it's entirely plausible that maybe the real Godfrey Ho was actually involved in an assistant director capacity in directing some of these films out of South Korea, but certainly not all of them, certainly not the majority of them. But so I think that's the beginning of the Godfrey Ho credit as something that was obviously became marketable or something in some way. So then fast forward to the IFD era, Thomas Tang at some point bailed ship and started his own Filmark company, which also made these cut and paste films. And what I mean by cut and paste films is what IFD became famous for, as in Ninja Champion, was taking other films, usually Korean or Taiwanese, sometimes Hong Kong, I think there might be one or two Hong Kong titles. And then I guess probably cutting a little bit out of them for the running time, and then splicing in scenes of white men dressed in bright ninja outfits, fighting in children's playgrounds in Hong Kong, or in the New Territories or something. Thus would create a new English dub to tie everything all together. So characters interact with characters from the original film. And et voila, they would create a new film, right?
Yeah.
And it's confusing to me, I suppose. What's interesting, I guess, is these films obviously, now in retrospect, it's, at the time, I think we would have ended up accidentally renting a bunch of these back in the day from the video shop. And the first time it's funny. The first time it's funny.
Yeah.
Then after that, you'd be, for fuck's sake, I've done it again, haven't I? I've rented what we would end up calling a Godfrey Ho film, because a lot of them were credited as this one is Godfrey Ho.
Yeah.
But now it's actually quite interesting to me, because a lot of these films from Taiwan and South Korea would never have seen the light of day. And to this day, a lot of them seem to only exist in this form.
Yeah.
Outside of maybe some film archive or something. So it's our only chance to, especially in terms of South Korea, I think, because up until like late 90s with the new Korea boom, I think a lot of Korean cinema just didn't travel at all. I mean, it's still, it's still kind of, there's a paucity of pre-1997 Korean movies out there that you can see.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
actually, the best bit of this film is the Korean.
Yes, which isn't saying much, but at least we get to see it, I think, is our point. So the source footage here is a 1985 Korean film, which is known under the English title Poisonous Rose Stripping the Night, which I don't think it's ever actually been released anywhere under that title. The original Korean title is, here we go, watch me mangle the Korean language.
I'm waiting. I'm bated breath.
Ba mewi boskinyen agjangni. Something like that. So, or rather, probably nothing like that.
But well, I wouldn't know either way.
No. Yeah.
Viewers, listeners, please write in and tell Clive how his pronunciation
was wrong.
Or wasn't.
Directed by one Kim Si-hyun. And yeah, so judging by, so obviously these things get given new stories sometimes in the English dub, but I'm guessing I think my guess would be that the original story probably isn't that far off the Ninja Champion version of the story. Do you think?
No, I would say that's right. I think we lost something with the twin sisters.
Yes.
I think that
a spoiler, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah. Not that it matters because this is Ninja Champion. So.
Well, yeah, and also, it takes you right up until the end of the film to have any vague semblance of what's actually going on.
Right. But I will try and summarize it. So basically, there's a woman, our Rose, and she, played by Cho Eun-hee, and she was raped, essentially. And we kind of get to see in flashback this rape, but there's no nudity. This is very conservative Korea of the 80s.
Yeah.
And one thing that is lost they don't mention this in translation, but I found this over at the Korean movie database plot synopsis for this film. And I suspected, as you might have done while watching it, that, hang on, that's not Korea. Like, I know it's a Korean film, but that is not Korea. That doesn't look like Korea in any way, shape, or form. No. And it's not. It's Taipei. It's Taiwan.
Oh, okay.
And I confirmed it over at the Korean movie database. That is exactly the story, is that this raped woman has to go to Taiwan to find to take revenge. So it is Taiwan. And because they go to that kind of famous, vaguely familiar looking theme park, don't they? With like
that's right. With big Buddhas. Yeah.
So it's mostly shot in and around Taipei, I think. So that's another thing I think back in the day would have confused anyone trying to figure out where the fuck this thing was actually from. Yeah. You probably would have thought, oh, it's a Taiwanese film, but it turned out it's not. It's Korean, but it's shot in Taiwan, and now it's become weird Hong Kong anglicized. Yeah.
Abortion.
And figuring all this stuff out is more interesting than watching the film.
Oh, fucking hell.
It has to be. I'm here for all this trivia and stuff, but actually at the end of the day, sitting down to watch the film is, oh, Lord, take me now.
Yeah, and as well as that, how dare they make it an hour and a half and not an hour and 15 minutes like all the other Godfrey Ho films?
So she wants to track down her rapists, and that's what she's doing via different modes of poison. My favorite of which is when she poisons her own nipples. So when someone sucks on her nipples, that's quite good.
That's the best bit of the film.
That is the best bit.
Yeah, and actually that's the only bit of nudity in the film as well, because you do actually see a nipple there.
Yes, and there's another bit where she bares her breasts, but it's fogged out, isn't it? And I think it is.
Yeah, no, that's not her. That's someone else.
Oh no, isn't that the sister? That's the twin. Because she's ostensibly showing off the diamond necklace, but she's showing off her tits at the same time. Yeah. No,
it's fogged out. No, that's not the sister. That's the female villain.
Oh yeah, sorry, I've forgotten all this 5 minutes after watching
it. It does not matter.
It does matter, no.
Yeah, I mean, we're foolish to try and do a plot synopsis of any sort on this film.
There's another.
So the interesting bits of the film are the rape, revenge, seduction, murder things.
And Lim Jan-ho, who's the male lead, who was also in the other Korean film that ended up becoming Ninja Terminator, plays her ex, who was a dick, and then after she was raped, said, right, I'm not marrying you anymore, and then decided, well, I love you anyway, and comes back to her. And quite rightfully, she's like, well, I don't give a fuck the fuck off, you fucking twat. basically.
Yes.
I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
But yes, and so right. So that's the basic premise of the original film, I think. And there's a good bit as well where she's disguised, quote unquote, as a nurse when she goes in. And the man she's just assaulted doesn't recognize her because she's wearing glasses.
Yeah.
He literally takes her glasses off and he goes, it's quite hilarious.
Yeah. And the way she dispatches him is quite fun as well, because she's got this fucking huge syringe.
But she stabs
but she just stabs him with the syringe.
Yeah.
And if she was gonna stab him with the syringe, why did she bother to fill it up?
I know. She gets a lot of fun out of using that poison in different ways, putting it on her lips, the nipples, putting it in some fruit and some grapes, and yeah. Anyway, so all that, right. Now, IFD decided, well, this isn't good enough. So what we need is, well, number one, we've got some footage of Richard Harrison on his Garfield phone, which we used in Ninja Terminator.
Yeah.
So we'll use that again. And he'll phone Bruce Barron, right?
Yes.
And Bruce Barron is an Interpol agent. And he talks to footage of Lim Jang Ho's character, who's now called George, who is now an Interpol agent.
I do love the really boring English names.
Yeah, it is.
It's like
elevated.
George, it's like George and Lawrence or someone.
Yeah, there's a Larry in here. So.
Larry, that's it. Yeah.
Yes, and so there's that. So the other bit that made me laugh, which I thought was quite good. So as well as Bruce Barron, another face from these ninja movies, the IFD cut base, is Pierre Tremblay, right?
Yeah.
And Pierre Tremblay is in charge of some ninjas
who are in charge of the red ninjas.
Yeah, who are bored. He's like there, and one of his ninjas goes, "Oh, we're ninjas and we're getting bored." Because they're on the sidelines and they have to wait for George and whatever or Rose to do their business. But if they get out of hand or something, then I guess, again, call in the ninjas, right? Yeah. So that means every 10 minutes or so, we get to see some ninjas showing off, basically, right?
Yeah.
Like they spin things and mess about.
Yeah.
I think this stuff was choreographed by Philip Coffey as well.
Yes, I noticed his name in the credits. Oh, the other thing I noticed in the credits, by the way, I don't know if you did, is Dragon Lee is in the credits.
Ah, yes.
But he's not in the film.
Well, I think he is in the Source film.
Okay.
Because
I can see that's possible, but he's not in this iteration of the film.
No, because he's credited on the Korean Movie Database under his real name, Gu Ryong. He's credited, but yes, I think you're right. I don't think he's actually in this version, is he?
You can't miss Dragon Lee.
No,
you can't miss Dragon Lee because he's so distinctive.
Yeah.
For a minute, I thought he was one of the heavies.
Right.
But that's not him at all.
Right. Unless you're right, unless they cut him mostly out, but he just. But it seems to be a strange thing to cut out, right? Like if Dragon Lee was in your film, you'd think you'd keep him in. Right?
Exactly. Well, especially if you're Godfrey Ho in 1985 or 1986.
Right. Yeah.
So anyway, Dragon Lee. It says Dragon Lee's in it, but he's not in it. Classic IFD.
Right. And
bullshit.
Yes. And then when the original film finally runs out, there's 5 minutes left of some ninjas in a playground having a bit of a fight.
That's it.
Killed. The end. Finish.
Yeah.
But it's classic. It's not on my top 5 IFD list, I don't think. But it is classic. This is what they did.
Yeah, this is absolutely by the book IFD.
Right.
Fuckery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can hear Kraftwerk, Transfer Express a little bit. As well as some other no doubt stolen music, which some of it I did recognize, but I couldn't place it.
Yeah, I didn't really recognize.
Like, that's. But I'm not good at identifying film soundtracks. I know the only thing I noticed is not in this one, but the one that pops up most in IFD films, and maybe Film Mark as well, is the Reanimator soundtrack.
Oh, okay, I've never paid attention to it.
You hear a lot of that. It
okay.
sounds a bit
yeah.
Bernard Hermony, doesn't it?
Yeah. Okay.
Actually, not a bit Bernard, a very fucking Bernard.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
So anyway, Darren, as if I didn't know, what did you think of Ninja Champion?
Well, I the Korean bits, the rape revenge stuff was not bad.
Possible.
It was okay. There's a nice little, I quite like, there's a nice little fight scene between Rose and one of her rapists, where she stabs him with her shoes.
Oh yeah, that was quite nice.
Fight in a car. So I think, it would be worth, if these films were readily available, it'd be worth having a look at the original, because it's quite interesting. It looks like it was filmed in the 60s, not the 80s, though.
It does, but I think that's just the print and
it's just poor quality print.
But it is, like you said before you, I just wanted to just say, yes, one of the, not joys exactly, it's too strong, but it is nice to at least be able to see a Korean rape revenge film from the 80s, which even if it does in this kind of weird version, it's just nice that it exists, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and this is, by the way, this is me getting all the positives out the way before I properly go at it. There's the ninja stuff is not badly choreographed.
It's actually
Bruce Barron goes and assassinates ninjas. That's actually quite interesting.
Yeah, the stuff Corfei did, actually, I have to admit, and it depends on some IFD films have more than others. Like, this is the usual split, right? This is 80% original film. Yeah. A little bit of ninja. At the end, extended with a ninja, but there's some films every now and again where they've used a larger quota of, and that stuff's actually quite interesting to see, because like you said, especially if it's Corfei involved, it's usually, it's daft as a fucking brush, but it's full of energy, right? It's fun to watch, and so the performers can actually, I think the easy way out that critics sometimes go for is, that's just stuff with those white guys, they can't actually fight, but that's not quite right. They do have skills. People like Bruce Barron or Piers Tremblay, they can actually do a certain amount of acrobatics. It's just they're relegated to jumping about in playgrounds and underground tunnels.
Well, yes, but also they always, particularly in this, it's fun to spot this. They always have a confrontation with whatever villain, with their hoods off, with their ninja hoods off, and then just before they're about to fight, they always put their ninja hoods, which cover most of their face.
Yes.
And then we see some other people in their clothes having a fight.
Yes, this is true. Yeah, no, it's true. They're not doing all of it, obviously, but they're doing at least enough of it to tell it.
Yeah, so that's not bad. It's by the numbers bullshit, but it's the choreography is good.
One element that is missing that slightly detracts from making it dyed in ember classic IFD, no ninja headbands. True.
Yeah, that's a good point. That
we should mention to the listener that it is common in these films for the Caucasian ninjas to have, not only are they bright fucking pink, which ninjas in ancient China certainly, in ancient Japan certainly were. They would also wear a headband with nin, some bit of
like a star or something, isn't it?
Or a character that doesn't mean ninja, and then ja on the other side. Just for that.
Just in case you didn't know.
Extra authenticity.
Yes. So that's interesting stuff. Korean stuff is decent. One of my best lines, because right at the end of the Korean film, all of a sudden this kind of heavy appears, who's like a mute.
Right.
He's like a bald, like a big mute.
I know where you're going with this.
You know, you wrote down what I wrote down, didn't you?
I did indeed, yes. Maybe we should do it in unison after 3. So,
yes.
So this is when the heroine is defending the person.
The heavy.
Yes.
Yes.
And
yes.
she says, 3,
Don't,
2, 1.
Don't kill him. He's just a retard. No.
Yes, yeah, he's not responsible. He's just a retard. Yeah. Fair play. I mean, she's right.
You know,
I mean,
yeah, well, apparently, yeah, I didn't actually get the fact that he was a retard.
Neither did I.
Until she told me. Yeah. I just thought he couldn't speak.
I'm wondering as well if he's there thinking, I'm not fucking retard. You can't say anything.
That's fun. That's a fun idea. So what you need to do, to get through this film is you need to make up scenarios in your head.
Yeah, that's right. He's
that make more sense than
inside. Yeah. How dare you? I'm not a freaking retard. I just can't talk. Yeah. He's angrier at her than he is at the villain.
Yes. Well, this is it. So anyway, yes. So that's the positives out the way.
Right.
But this film was so fucking hard to watch. It's considering the amount of action that's in it, and that's the rape revenge stuff, the seduction stuff with ingenious ways of killing people.
Yeah.
Well choreographed ninja stuff that's inserted into it. This film is boring as hell.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have a slightly higher tolerance for this stuff than you, and I've sat through a lot of it, and this is far from the most boring. Like there's even more taxing out.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But yes, it is. It does definitely drag and benefits from having a 1.5 or 2 times speed option on your playback player of choice. Right?
Well, I don't have that option, so I watched it all at normal speed for a whole hour and 28 minutes, which I'm never going to get back. I'm never getting that time back, Clive.
You never get any time back.
Well, no, but you know, not time well spent.
I don't know. You got 25 minutes of podcast chat.
Well, yeah, true. We've haha. The exploiters have been exploited.
Aha! Yes. So we have thrown off the shackles of IFD's oppression with our podcast.
So no, it's a really tough film to watch.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you. Especially if you're, I mean, we're preaching to the converted to a certain extent, I think. If you are properly just a casual viewer who enjoys a good film, don't go anywhere near this.
No. This is for people with high tolerance and slightly masochistic tendencies.
Yes, and a wanton kind of, like you said, you kind of have to go into it knowing how to find your fun, right? So if you can enjoy pretending that the mute character is a secret, not really retarded or something along those lines, then maybe you can enjoy yourself. But why put yourself through that unless you are of that bent already, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so not to be recommended, this one.
Yes, this is not Bruce Baron. This is Bruce Baroff.
Yeah, and it's a shame actually that he's not in it more.
Yeah, he's not in it much, is he? But I just felt that if we were going to do the, God help us, the Bruce Baron retrospective for the aging, we had to have
the definitive Bruce Baron retrospective.
Guaranteed to make him spin in his grave. Then we had to include an IFD, right? Because if anyone anywhere in the world actually remembers Bruce Baron for anything, it's probably for being in an IFD ninja or two.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what he unfortunately, he's the poor man's Richard Harrison. He's the one Godfrey Ho gets on the phone to when Richard Harrison tells him to fuck off.
Yeah, on his Garfield phone.
Or when the footage that he's already taken, Godfrey Ho's already taken of Richard Harrison starts to wear out because it's been fucking spliced into so many things. Bruce, we need you over in the Philippines. Can you come and be Richard Harrison for 10 minutes?
Yeah, so he does mention as well, for anyone interested who wants to know more about Bruce Barron, there is an online interview made with him over at Nana Land, and he does talk a little bit about how, yeah, there was a certain amount of footage of him shot, and then it turned up in, you know, a billion different places that he didn't.
Yeah. That's a really interesting interview. Recommend that.
He wasn't spliced into that much stuff, though, to be fair. I mean, he wasn't in anywhere near as many things as Richard Harrison was in. No. And of course, Richard Harrison's story about how he was duped into one block of filming doesn't quite ring true either, because he obviously went back for a bit more punishment a few times.
Yeah, exactly.
His style changes and he looks older in some scenes, you know, so yeah, so there's a bit of a grey area, I think, between, and even Bruce Barron's recollection, as fun as it is to read and informative as well, I'm sure there's a certain amount of, you know, you have to take some of it with a pinch of salt, right?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. But what I found most interesting, found most interesting is just the picture he paints of filming in the Philippines.
Yeah.
That's really, really interesting. He goes into, you know, who the extras are, what their lifestyles are, how down on their luck they are, how much they got paid. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, and he makes a distinction. He makes a distinction as well. It rings very, very true. I mean, I haven't had anywhere near the experiences, and in a different country and a different time and everything. But working as a kind of, you know, expat, professional foreigner, you don't really need any talent for in a number of Japanese productions here. It rings true, a lot of it, to me as well, in terms of how it sounds almost more fun in the Philippines. It sounds a bit more, there's a level of camaraderie where everyone's kind of on the same level, whereas Hong Kong feels a bit more like, you know, you're very much on the bottom. Right.
Yeah, there's a hierarchy, isn't there?
His vision of Shaw doesn't sound like much fun at all, does it? It just sounds like
well, none of the Hong Kong stuff. It doesn't sound like he liked any of that.
No. So I can relate just a smidge. I've had just enough kind of slightly adjacent experience for it to ring kind of true as well. So yeah. So check that interview out. Very interesting. Yes, might even put a link in.
Yeah, I think we should. Yeah, absolutely.
Do such a thing. And I'm sure I can. Younger people do it all the time. I'm sure I can figure it out. Granddad.
Kids today will help you, Granddad.
Yes. I'll go out on the street.
Yeah, just go fishing for a teenager. Do you want to? If you come and help me with my internet, I'll give you sweets.
Yeah, I've got a puppy, you can see.
in my van.
Anyway,
yes,
that's getting too close to the truth. So
I know. Sorry, Clive. I didn't mean to expose you.
It's time for me to back off. I'm going to get back in my Seville mobile. And I think. Yeah, Dragon Force is the I think has been the revelation for us of this episode, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because we knew what we were getting. We knew what we were getting with Raiders of Atlantis.
Yes.
Well, you know exactly what that film is before you put it on.
Yes. If we hadn't both seen it before.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know exactly what you're getting with Ninja Champion.
Yes, I like how you have to check. You have to check the title because they're also generic, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I didn't give enough fucks about that film to remember its fucking name.
Right. I think I have a slight more. I have a little bit more of an interest in that stuff than you, but yeah, I certainly agree with you. You don't need to be going anywhere near that unless you're a professional. You're in a hazmat suit and you're trained.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. A film disposal expert. Yeah. Anyway, but Dragon Force was a bundle of fun, and it wasn't just because it was bookended by some slightly ropey films.
No, because we didn't watch it all in one go, right? So
no. But it's just a good, solid watch. Loads of fun. No one's taking anything seriously. Good action.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of fun.
And that probably should be maybe the film that Bruce Barron is remembered for above the IFT stuff, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and Ho Chung Tao.
Yeah,
he's made better films, but this is more than solid. More than a good.
Nothing to be ashamed of. Nothing to be ashamed.
No, definitely. Yeah. So yes, yeah. So have a bit of fun with Raiders of Atlantis. Thank you for the nudge on that, Geno.
Yeah, thank you, Geno. Once again, that was a Geno Cuddy request, which we kind of spun out a bit. So it kind of came back round, and I think we've kind of, and I mean, the thing is, this is whatever we want it to be anyway, Darren. So if we want to do Raiders of Atlantis, we'll bloody well do Raiders. And
But I think all credit to Clive. We wove that successfully into Kung Fu.
Yeah, we just about the skin of our teeth got away with that.
Yeah. If you have any requests, listeners, do get in touch. We're not going to promise to do all requests.
No, we don't set a precedent. No. Yeah. But
we'll happily have a look at
we'll entertain your thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. Next month we probably want to get back to excuse me, some proper food.
Yes, I think next month. I mean, we haven't decided yet, but yes, we'll be back at it, and we'll be in something a bit more comfortable.
Yes, absolutely.
Grand.
Yeah, quite right. Yeah, but maybe we'll go deep into something as well. I don't know. We literally haven't decided. But
we're not teaching, we don't know. Yeah.
No, we just don't know. But I'm feeling going deep into some old school proper Kung Fu.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Well, with that said,
yes.
Until next time, it was him, Darren Jones, and me, Clive Davis. This was Ychyfus, and that's it. Insert witty banter of your own here, because we can't be bothered. And
or just splice in some fake ninja footage.
I might splice in that woman saying that he's let him alone because he's retarded. Yeah.
It's a shame we can't we can't mess about with the voice. We could just change him to Ninja Champion. Leave Ninja Champion alone. It's retarded.
There we go. Brilliant.
To the pip.